Wish you a fantastic day ahead. My name is Sue. If you're joining us online right now, hi to you as well. If you're logging on from wherever you are, I do hope that you're keeping safe and well, as with all my friends right here at MBS. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to get us started, what's going to happen is I'm going to run through some essential housekeeping to help us all best maximize our time here together. So please bear with me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you are here, I'm going to invite you to take to your seats right now. We are standing by for the arrival of our guest of honor. And also as well, I want to remind you to stay 1 meter apart, to keep your mask on at all times unless eating or drinking. And please, of course, do not switch seats. Stay at your table. And if you do have your phone or beeping devices with you, do me a favor, can you check that your phone is on the silent mode already? Thank you. At home, you can do whatever you like, but thank you so much. Stay with us all the way to the very end. And also as well, since this event will be broadcast live online, I want you to take note that the video crew is at the back of the hall. So if you can, do me a favor, please refrain from walking in front of them. Thank you so much for your kind understanding. And also as well, to facilitate our room sanitization and as part of our safe management measures, I'm going to ask you to kindly leave the ballroom and this floor, which is level 5, by 11:30 a.m. Thank you so much. I seek your kind understanding on this matter, okay? And also as well, if you do feel unwell at any moment and point, please approach any of our staff that you see at the back of the hall. We're all wearing lanyards. You can identify us that way. Once again, if you do feel unwell, let us know and we'll do our very best to take care of you. And also as well, if you're leaving this place, remember to do the checkout using your trays together. So once again, when you leave the venue, remember to check out using your trays together. And for the plenary discussion, which will be towards the end of today's event, I'd like to let you know that we're going to get you to post your questions. Any questions that you may have, you can start asking already from our speaker sessions. So this is how we're going to do this. We're going to get you to ask your questions by using the online Q&A platform by the name of Slido. So please scan the QR code that you see in front of you. For my friends online as well, please do so. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Amy Khor, Senior Minister of State for Sustainability and the Environment. Ladies and gentlemen, she'll be here in just a short little while. I'm going to get you to warmly welcome her. And ladies and gentlemen, if you may, please put your hands together to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Amy Khor, Senior Minister of State for Sustainability and the Environment. Welcome and please be seated. A very good morning to Dr. Amy Khor, Permanent Secretary Mr. Albert Chua, National Environment Agency Chairman Engineer Lee Chuan Sing. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a very warm welcome to today's event. It is indeed a privilege to see you face to face. And if you're watching online as well, I warmly welcome you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to kick off today's event, it is my pleasure to invite Chairman of NEA, Engineer Lee Chuan Sing, to deliver his welcome remarks. Engineer Lee, can you please, of course, give him a round of applause. Thank you. Good morning. You may remove your mask. Thank you.
Good morning. Dr. Amy Khor, Senior Minister of State, Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment, and also Ministry of Transport. Professor William Cheng, Director of the NTU Food and Science and Technology Program. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to all and thank you all for joining us at the inaugural 2021 Food Resource Valorisation Awards organized by the National Environment Agency. Launched earlier this year, the Food Resource Valorisation Awards aim to recognize the efforts of companies that engage in food resource valorization and raise awareness on this concept. Food resource valorization refers to the conversion of food waste, such as homogeneous byproducts, rejects, and mixed fruit waste into value-added resources. These resources can include animal feed, raw material for the manufacture of new food products, or even non-food products, thereby contributing to a sustainable economy. Such valorization not only serves as a viable recycling pathway to close the food waste loop and contribute to Singapore's resource resilience, it also benefits businesses by generating new revenue streams in a profitable way, effectively turning waste into resources. Active and meaningful partnerships are crucial to enable a successful shift towards a circular economy with greater adoption of food valorization solutions. By leveraging on the strengths, knowledge, and expertise of different stakeholders, we can bring about positive change that not only benefits the industry, but also contributes to national efforts towards zero waste. We recognize the huge value in a public-private approach, and this is why the Industry Steering Committee for Circular Economy in Food was formed 2 years ago to bring together industry stakeholders as well as government agencies to focus on valorization of food waste. It serves to bridge the gap between food waste generators, technology providers, and potential users through awareness creation, and facilitates adoption and commercialization of food resource concepts and technologies by research institutes and businesses. The committee has embarked on efforts to study the landscape of food waste generated and recycled by the industry to uncover potential for food resource valorization. We have started by looking into homogeneous food waste, such as okara waste, bread waste, and spent grains, which have the potential to be recycled into higher value products, such as animal feed and food products, and are expanding efforts to target more challenging food waste streams, such as vegetable and seafood waste. One of the key objectives of the committee is to raise awareness of food resource valorization. There have been 3 industry awareness briefings to bring companies and solution providers together to share ideas and collaborate on projects. The first 2 industry awareness briefings focus on solutions for homogeneous food waste streams like okara waste, soya bean waste, and spent barley grains. The third briefing centered around black soldier fly technology, a valorization solution that is gaining traction, and some such projects are featured in today's awards. We have received positive feedback for all 3 briefings, with participants mentioning that the webinars had helped to enhance their understanding of food waste management landscape, and in particular, food resource valorization efforts in Singapore. We had also facilitated link-ups between several attendees and speakers for potential collaborations. Today's inaugural event is another step towards our food resource valorization goals in helping companies pivot towards more sustainable operating models and leveraging on the knowledge and expertise of all stakeholders to encourage more companies to embark on food resource valorization. The Food Resource Valorisation Awards 2021 recognizes the efforts of companies that have started on this exciting journey of turning food waste into valuable products. In the longer term, we hope the award can serve 3 purposes. 1, to recognize companies for developing or implementing useful food resource valorization technologies. 2, to strive for overall increase in Singapore food waste recycling rate. And lastly, to increase awareness of food resource valorization and facilitate the exchange of ideas amongst local and overseas counterparts through alliances and partnerships. There will be 2 categories of awards presented at the ceremony today. The Participation Award, because it's the first time we're doing it, we are giving awards for participation as well, for projects in the R&D or developmental phase, and the Merit Award for projects operating on a commercial scale with a minimum of 2 years operation. In recognizing the efforts of companies who have adopted or provided food resource valorization solutions, we hope that other companies will be inspired and motivated to adopt and develop similar as well as new solutions. So I would like to conclude by congratulating all the recipients of the Food Resource Valorization Awards today. He has shown us and others that if we can dream big, we can tap on the inherent resources in what is usually viewed as waste and turn them into valuable products. I hope that you will continue to push the frontier with these projects and grow your business ideas, doing well by doing good, contributing to a sustainable Singapore. Over time, I'm sure that with effort and innovation, you will reap the rewards of your labor. I look forward to an interesting and fruitful sharing by the speakers. Thank you.
A round of applause for Engineer Lee. Thank you so much for starting our day. And like what you just heard from Engineer Lee, we will be starting with the award ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege to be here celebrating. So I'm going to ask you to be generous with your applause later when we start with the award ceremony. At this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask my award recipients to please gather at the right-hand stage area as you see it. That's where I'm going to ask you to kindly, of course, get up from where you are and proceed to the right-hand side of the area or waiting for you to stand by for the award ceremony. Award recipients, can we get you to head on over there right now? Thank you so much. And as our award recipients will be on stage shortly to celebrate all of their achievement and success, let me tell you about the Food Resource Valorisation Awards. Now, like what you heard from Engineer Lee, this serves to recognize companies that engage in the conversion of food waste into products that contribute to a sustainable economy. And like mentioned as well, we have 2 award categories. Number 1, the merit category for projects we have been operating on a commercial scale for at least 2 years. And also as well, our very first inaugural for the participation category for projects in the R&D or pilot phase. And to help us officiate the ceremony today, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Amy Kaur for the Food Valorisation Awards 2021. Good morning. It's a joy to see you, if you may. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start with the Merit Award. Thank you. And we want to kick off by celebrating and bring on our recipients on stage. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say congratulations to Asia Pacific Brewery Singapore Private Limited. A round of applause. Now, APB repurposes spent barley grains from their brewing process into animal feed. And we're so proud, of course, of you being so innovative in all that you do. And I do believe that you see Patricia later on for her speech as well. Once again, remember to pick up your token and your trophy to come on stage for the photo. Congratulations to APB, Asia Pacific Brewery Singapore Private Limited. We'd like to welcome on stage Biju Industries Private Limited. A round of applause. They adopt a drying process to preserve the nutritional content of spent grain and soya waste and convert them into animal feed ingredients. Well done, Biju Industries Private Limited. Thank you. If you're not too tired, put your hands to welcome Insecta. Congratulations. Now they transform food waste into high-value biomaterial such as chitosan and melanin as well, using black soldier flies. So later on, you'll hear from Ms. Tra as well. She's here to give us a speech. Congratulations to Insecta. Thank you very much. Please proceed downstage as you may. For the participation award winners, I'd like to congratulate A1 Environment Private Limited. A round of applause. A1 Environment Private Limited recovers and uses spent coffee brown to create a biocomposite material that is used to make, guess what? Furniture. Exciting indeed. Congratulations, A1 Environment, using coffee grounds to make furniture. I need to see some of that furniture myself. Congrats to A1 Environment. A round of applause, please. Next up, Institute of Materials Research and Engineering, A-star. A round of applause. They found a way to use food waste to create engineered biocellulose for high-value medicinal, biomaterial, and engineering composites. Congratulations. May you always continue to innovate. A-star. I'd like to welcome on stage right now, put your hands together for Crust Group. Congrats to Crust Group. Let me tell you a little bit about Crust. They work with other companies to turn their surplus food ingredient into crust beers and other beverages. How exciting. Please look towards the front for a photo. Congratulations, Crust Group. Cheers. Please proceed downstage. Thank you so much. And not here as well, we'd like to acknowledge Ento Industries Private Limited. They use black soldier flies to convert food waste into high-value feed and fertilizer projects for the agriculture industry. We now move on to our next recipient. Please put your hands together to welcome Insect Feed Technologies. Remember to keep a meter apart. Thank you very much. Look towards the front for this photo. They use black soldier flies as well to convert food waste to pet and aqua feed and also nutritional soy amendment. Thank you. All right, next up, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to congratulate Cosmod Health Singapore Private Limited. Welcome, Florence. Now they convert spent barley grains into Wow Noodles, a high-fiber protein noodle with no glycemic index. Truly amazing. And congratulations once again to Cosmod Health Singapore Private Limited. Thank you. Just a few more to go. Next up, please welcome on stage Otolith in Richmond. Congratulations. Now, Otolith uses also black soldier fly larvae to valorize food waste from residents as part of the Sustainability at Tampines Park project, forming a community-based circular ecosystem. We're very proud of this meaningful community project. Congrats, Otolith in Richmond. Send her off with a round of applause. Last but not least, congratulations to Synergy Corporation Private Limited. Join us on stage to celebrate. Synergy provides energy-efficient drying technology to help retain the quality of food waste for upcycling into high-value end product. Once again, congratulations, Synergy Corporation Private Limited. And with that, thank you, Dr. Amy Kaur, for the presentation. I'd like to welcome you right now for the welcome address. Dr. Amy Kaur, if you may, thank you so much for your time with us here today.
I must say it's my pleasure to be here. And let me thank all of you for being here at this inaugural Food Resources Valorisation Awards ceremony. Engineer Lee Chuan Seng, Chairman of the National Environment Agency, Professor William Chen, Director of the NTU Food Science and Technology Program, ladies and gentlemen, of course, all our award recipients, a very good morning to one and all. It is indeed my pleasure to be here for the inaugural Food Resource Valorisation Awards. Before I begin, please join me in giving our award recipients another big round of applause. Food waste is a global problem. The Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations estimates that 1.3 billion tons of food waste is generated every year. Food waste is also one of the largest waste streams in Singapore. In 2020, about 665,000 tons of food waste was generated. This is equivalent to the weight of about 46,000 double-decker buses. And of this, only 19% was recycled. More can and needs to be done to reduce the amount of food waste that goes to our incineration plants, as valuable resources are wasted in the production, distribution, and disposal of these food waste. And indeed, we must not forget that it also generates carbon emissions. The increasing amount of waste puts pressure on our finite resources as well as the waste management infrastructure. This is not sustainable, especially in land-scarce Singapore. Our only landfill, the Semakau landfill, is expected to run out of space by 2035 at current waste disposal rates. There is an increasing need to shift from a linear economy model of take, make, dispose to a circular one in which resources are reused endlessly. The government has taken major steps to catalyze Singapore's transition towards a circular economy. We launched the Zero Waste Master Plan in 2019 to map out our key strategies to reduce the waste going to our landfill by 30% by 2030. In the same year, we introduced the landmark Resource Sustainability Act to put in place an extended producer responsibility or EPR framework for our 3 priority waste streams, namely electrical and electronic waste, food waste, and packaging waste, including plastics. Under the Singapore Green Plan 2030, we aim to front-load our waste reduction efforts to achieve a reduction in the amount of waste sent to Semakau landfill by 20% by 2026. This will help to prolong the lifespan of Semakau landfill beyond 2035. To reduce waste and drive efforts to close the food waste loop, the National Environment Agency had earlier announced plans for large and commercial food waste generators to segregate and treat their food waste starting from 2024. Meanwhile, NEA is also consulting the industry to develop a framework for these premises to measure and report the amount of food waste segregated for treatment. As mentioned by Chairman earlier in his speech, the Food Resource Valorisation Awards was launched this year to recognize companies that engage in food resource valorization and to raise awareness of this concept. Unlike conventional food waste treatment approaches that process food waste into usable products like compost or non-potable water, food resource valorization goes one step further by converting food waste into value-added products, some of which can be looped back into our food supply chain. This approach not only reduces the amount of food waste generated, but also strengthens the resilience of our food system and contributes to Singapore's vision of building the capability to produce 30% of our nutritional needs locally and sustainably by 2030. This is particularly important given that we import over 90% of our food. 2021 continues to be a challenging year for businesses as they navigate the ongoing COVID-19 situation and seek sustainable solutions to improve resource resilience. For the food industry, we saw how disruptions to supply chains, for example in feedstock, can negatively impact food manufacturers and our farms. In such difficult times, I'm heartened to see many companies adopting innovative processes and uncovering synergies with industry partners to transform their operating models into more efficient and circular ones. Our award winners have adopted multiple valorization solutions, each focusing on different aspects of the food supply chain. We have companies which have turned byproducts from the food and manufacturing process into other valuable resources. For example, Asia Pacific Breweries turns its spent barley grains from the beer brewing process into ingredients for animal feed instead of disposing them. Other companies have focused their attention on surplus food, such as bread or unwanted parts, such as fruit peels. One such company is Crust Group, which has partnered restaurants and food retail outlets to turn the surplus products from these premises into beverages. I remember watching CNA program on this very company. And I just told, the award recipient that I would love to try his beer, Crush Group. That's one of the products. Another company, Insecta, has tapped on insects to process food waste into useful products. Insecta has developed the use of black soldier fly technology to turn homogeneous byproducts such as okara and spent barley grains into biomaterial such as chitosan for use in pharmaceutical applications. Congratulations to all our award winners. Indeed, I hope the successes of these trailblazers will serve as inspiration for the rest of the industry. I would also like to thank companies for your dedication and efforts in closing our resource loops. The shift towards a circular economy cannot be achieved by the government's efforts alone. We need to forge active and meaningful partnerships with all stakeholders, such as our food manufacturers and solution providers. We will continue to support companies, both small and large, in this paradigm shift towards a circular economy by gathering expertise from the industry, government, and research institutes to expand and develop our local food resource valorization capabilities. Let me conclude. All of us have a part to play in this journey towards a circular economy, which presents many new opportunities for innovation and economic growth. Together, we can turn Singapore into a global city of sustainability and a bright green spark that inspires the world as well as our future generations. So once again, congratulations to our award recipients. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Amy Cole, for the wonderful welcome address. It is such a joy to see you today, and thank you so much for inspiring us. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is such a joy to have our guest of honor with us here today, and she's coming downstage. Once again, please give Dr. Amy Cole a round of applause. Now that we heard from our guest of honor, we are now going to, of course, move on to the next segment, which will be our keynote presentation. I hope you're excited for that. And I want to tell you, our next keynote speaker is none other than Professor William Chen, Director of the NTU Food Science and Technology Program. Now, Prof. Chen has more than 30 years of research experience. His food research has a strong focus on fermentation technology and innovation in converting food waste to high-value food ingredients. Prof. Chen will share about how food waste is an increasingly pressing environmental, social, and economic problem worldwide, including Southeast Asia, and also as well introduce to us today the technology innovations developed in Singapore and beyond. Now, to help us reduce food waste and also improve on waste valorization towards upcycling. I want to remind you that if you do have any questions along the way, you may send them through already. Please use our Q&A online platform by the name of Slido, and we will try our very best to answer as many questions as we can during the plenary session later. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for your keynote presentation, if you may, put your hands together to welcome Professor Chen. Good morning to you, Professor Chen. It's a joy to have you here. Over to you.
Senior Minister of State for Sustainability and the Environment, Dr. Amy Cole, Permanent Secretary for Sustainability and the Environment, Mr. Albert Chua, Chairman of the National Environment Agency, Engineer Lee Chuan Sing, ladies and gentlemen, and all the award winners, good morning. It's an honor to be here to give a presentation on the technology innovation for food waste reduction. As SMS, Dr. Cole has covered a lot of this important aspect on the food waste reduction. I will try to keep my presentation focused and relevant. So, if we look at the So if you look at the broader context of food waste reduction into our Singapore food security, actually we can see that the food security is not just to make food available on our dining table. It has actually three key components. One is primary production through agriculture and farming. The second one is processing technology to actually extend the shelf life of food produce that is imported into Singapore. And the third one is proper nutrition for our aging population. So food security is not just about focusing on any one of these three aspects, but rather to take a holistic approach to address all three aspects and interconnect them such that we can build an efficient food system. And the food waste, as SMS Dr. Koh has pointed out, she uses these double-decker bus that use a swimming pool, but the idea is the same. We generate too much food waste in Singapore. So there's a lot of implications here for a small city-state country like Singapore. First is that there's an environmental impact. Second, it will increase our burden on food import. As SMS Dr. Koh pointed out, we import more than 90% of food for our local consumption. So food waste reduction actually will contribute to this efficient food system build-up. And we will see that some of the solutions that we can come about is already under the government's push for 30 by 30 vision. Urban farming and smart farming is one of the solutions towards sort of make our food system more resilient because we will depend lesser on food import. The second one is the focus of today's presentation, that is improve the processing technology. That can come on the two approaches in opposite direction. First, we can develop technology to extend the shelf life of food produce so that we can reduce food waste at the source. The second one is actually nutrient recovery and then converting all the food waste into usable materials. This is what we have seen from the award winner this morning. So basically the approach actually covers these two approaches. The third one is nutrition for the aging population. We have also seen that some of the award winners apply the technology to actually spill over into either this nutrient of food product, or in some cases that we have not seen yet is applied into the urban farming solution. So the message I'd like to put across here is that first, food innovations do not always need rocket science. The second, public-private partnership is extremely important. Yeah. Okay, so now let's look at Singapore's waste challenges. So if you can see the numbers, we actually still generate a lot of food waste, but encouragingly, it's coming down over the recent years. So you can see in the food waste generated from 2003 to 2017 and to last year. So there's an increase, but then now it's really coming down. I think this is thanks to the effort from the government, but also raising awareness in consumers. The second encouraging figure you see here is the recycling rate. Yeah. So we are actually, putting effort to reduce food waste by recycling. But what is coming up and coming will be actually how to not just increase the recycling rate, but rather, as Dr. Koh pointed out, upcycling, right? So food waste valorization is a key technology that we should develop and move us forward. So if we look at this Singapore's waste challenge, you may ask, what about the regional aspect? And at the global stage, as we know that food waste is actually a global challenge, and this problem has been accentuated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so this is a rather saturated slide. but this puts us into the context of in Southeast Asia. You can see that more than 50% of the Southeast Asia's waste is food waste. Yeah. On the right-hand side, if you find the wording a bit heavy, you look at the right-hand side, the chart, you may see that in the red color represent the food waste, proportion of food waste in the overall waste generated in the country around us. So very encouragingly, we can see Singapore, the second, on the right-hand side, the column, the second from the bottom. So our food waste generation, although is high within the country, but proportionally is actually the lowest in the region. So you will look at the wording there, we generate about, I would say, 2,000 tons of food waste a day, right? If you convert this 665,000 tons of food waste a year, that comes to about 2,000 tons of food waste a day. Compared to our neighbor country, Malaysia, this is they have a much higher food waste generated a day. And the edible food waste you can see here actually can feed about 2 million hungry people. So edible food waste actually include this ugly food that we say, right? And our bigger neighbor, Indonesia, the situation is also similar to Malaysia. So they are the second largest source of food waste in Asia. But when we talk about, so I will not go through the rest, but you can see that food waste is actually not just limited to Singapore. In our Southeast Asian region, is also a serious challenge. Globally, if you look at the central figure, you can see that globally is also a huge challenge. If you look at Southeast Asia, at one of the big bubble on the right-hand side, actually we generate more than just food waste, but also food loss. So this is related to the infrastructure set up in the region. For example, we have a lot of smallholder farmers, and because of this low level of technology and labor-intensive nature of their farming practices, they also, in addition to food waste, there's also a lot of food loss in the way, all the way from farming to harvesting to transportation and to consumer end. So this is at the global stage. You can see that 1/3 of all the food waste produced globally has been wasted. In fact, there's another survey done by FAO under the UN, which estimated that if we can reduce food waste globally to zero, there's no need to actually clear more land to increase the primary production to feed the growing world population. We just focus on food waste reduction. So there are many ways to actually achieve this goal. As we have seen that this morning's award winner, they have a lot of technology to actually move towards food waste reduction. Another one is the landfill. SMS Dr. Koh already pointed out. So the environmental impact and then our land capacity for reclamation, there's a limit to that. Also, this carbon footprint and GHG gases emission will also be a concern. So it all pointed out to the collective effort, the need for collective effort to reduce food waste. So the type of food waste that we see, as I mentioned earlier, so it's actually another quite heavy slide. Let me point out a few key figures here. So if you look at on the right-hand side, the flow chart, what you can see, there are actually two main causes. One is indirect cost, the other one is a direct cost. So indirect cost can be at the farming side, it can be due to the quality of the harvest, or sometimes it's low market demand, so the drop in quality and the drop in demand, so this, the pork produced is stuck in the field, so no one wants to harvest them. And in some developing countries, there's also the lack of infrastructure for storage. So all these will lead to food loss. And also processing capacity in some of these countries. So all these will lead to this food loss, right? In terms of direct costs, right? This level of harvest, and then sometimes because of this logistic arrangement, there's a long overdue storage of this food produce. All this will lead to the food waste and food loss. And another important point is also the ugly food. So with our lifestyle changes, consumers are also getting a little bit picky about what they want to eat. They want to pretty food, look fresh, so the rest they don't want. So all these contribute indirectly to, directly or indirectly to the food loss and food waste generation. And then not forgetting about expiry date. So people look at the expiry date, any time is nearer to the date, they will throw away. So a lot of consumer education is also needed. So with all these challenges, it seems like we need some, really overhaul of the food system. But are there ways to improve the situation? Well, we have seen this morning that technology innovation can actually help address these challenges. So I would just like to point out that in every crisis we can find opportunities. In the food waste reduction, innovation can actually bring us to some of these opportunities. So as I mentioned earlier, so there are two approaches moving in the opposite direction to reduce food waste. One's to reduce the generation of food waste at the source, right? So, for example, we can apply, one thing good about this food tech innovation is that it's about actually tweaking the condition of existing technology into food application rather than develop rocket science, which will take years. So in this case, we can use data analytics to better monitor the food supply chain. Another one is, for example, extension of shelf life of food produce. This will lead to the reduction of food waste generation. As we have seen, that the A-star researchers have developed better packaging materials to actually help reduce rather extend the shelf life of food produce. At NTU, we have also developed natural food preservative, and this would then actually help also reduce the generation of food waste. Another important aspect of this reduction of generation of food waste at the source will be the consumer education. So on the right-hand side, you see a gentleman on the beach. Actually, he's not enjoying the suntan on the beach. Rather, he's picking up all the waste on the beach. The gentleman is Trisham Stewart, a Cambridge graduate in literature, but moved into this movement towards worldwide food waste reduction. So he came to Singapore on invitation of National Geographic and visited us at the NTU. And he famously has organized a free lunch for 5,000 people, both in London and New York. The idea here is not because he's too rich, but rather he was using the ugly food to raise awareness of this food waste reduction, the importance of food waste reduction. So very much like a crust beer, locally, he has developed this toast ale in the UK, also using leftover bread. Yeah, so you can see the propagation of this technology is not limited to Singapore. It's actually in the region and at the global stage. For the regional level, the innovations can be found in the Philippines. You can see the packet of mango flour. This is developed using mango seed. As you know, Philippines is a primary producer for both bananas and mangoes, right? And they are also working with local startup to integrate this innovation into the food chain. The second one is a reduction of food waste through upcycling, as we have seen this from SMS daughter calls a speech. That has actually two components. One is nutrient recovery through simple innovations. The second one is actually converting the remaining residue into useful materials, including sustainable packaging materials. So all in, we actually aim to build this food circular economy to reduce food waste and enhance our food system. This is some of the example. I will not go into detail, just to show that what I say here is not internet research, but rather technology we have developed in Singapore. In this case, I use NTU's innovation to illustrate the point. So to build the food circular economy, we take these two approaches. One is natural food preservative, which work a lot better than the chemical preservatives, and it's a plant-based metabolite. So in times to come, once this is adopted by the industry, we'll see the first more natural processed food. The second is a longer shelf life of food produced. The second one is at the bottom two images. You see the very simple technology, fermentation, which has been used by many people in Singapore. So there's no rocket science in this. We recover through fermentation. We recover nutrient from the side stream of food processing industry, including okra, burro spangrine, and so on. But fermentation would not remove all the nutrients from the food side streams, and the remaining residue, actually we have developed a cellulose extraction technology to convert them into various types of packaging materials. The good thing here is actually these packaging materials are biodegradable. So in doing so, we actually close a loop. As you can see on the at the top on the right-hand side, we created this food circular economy. So what is there any relevance, is any buy-in from industry? So very important, when we develop this food tech innovation, we have this, bear in mind this very important aspect. First, it has to be simple so that the scalability is high. Second, it has to be cost effective. If not, no one will come to us. So thanks to this, based on these 2 points, we have developed a number of innovations, and you can see on the top left corner, we have successfully engaged many industry partners to work with us. I think it's the same for other IHLs in Singapore. This is truly a reflection of importance of public-private partnership. And companies we work with include F&N. They have their first external lab at NTU, opened in 2019, and the first batch of product will be on the market by the end of this year. We also work with Intersnack Intersnack is the biggest cashew nut producing company from Germany. They work with us to improve the peeling technology for their operation. And then the peel off skin actually had been used by a local company called N&E Innovation, as you can see in the middle. So they use this side stream from peeling processing to develop this biodetergent, and this will be very helpful for our, this current countermeasure against COVID-19 infection. And as I mentioned, fermentation, the ingredient that we recover from the side stream can be spilled over to other user applications. In this case, we work, for example, we have worked with this US startup, but based in Singapore, called Sophie's Kitchen, now renamed as Sophie's BioNutrient. So in this case, we apply this fermented okra to replace the cultural medium for the microalgae, which is suitable for urban farming. At the bottom in the middle, you see very much like Insecta, we have developed this chitosan-based packaging material from prawn shells through fermentation. And our simple fermentation has also been applied to develop this probiotic ice cube. again with a local SMEs called Unitech. And so they have been around to make ice cube for the past 30 years. By combining with NTU's innovation, we create synergy to create this functional ice cube. If you want to give a try, it's already available in the NTUC fair price freezers. Yeah. So in concluding, I think the first one is that the food waste is a misplaced resource. So this one is actually reflected by the title of the event, that is Food Resource Valorisation. So we really take the nutrient out of this food waste. And then we can see that through the technology innovation, we can reduce the food waste at the source, and then we can also upcycle this food waste with a simple innovation. And then we can see that through partnering with the industry, local food industry and international players, there's a huge, very high growth potential. I think we can easily relate this food waste valorization with how we grow our economy through petrochemical industry. Yeah, it's very similar in the principle. And then food waste, more importantly, food waste reduction will actually help us enhance the food security overall. And thank you for your. I have a very short video clip so that to illustrate our point. Press one more time. Oops, it's not playing. So this is actually the hallmark of NTU Smart Campus initiative by reducing plastic waste. And at the larger scale, we can see that this will help us reduce food waste while enhancing the shelf life of food produce because of this antimicrobial property of the packaging material. With this, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
A round of applause for Professor Chen. Thank you so much for the keynote presentation. Could you please accept the token of appreciation for your time today? I also want to remind you that we're going to get you for a photo, so you may remove your mask for the photo taking. Thank you very much. Join us in the middle of the stage. And now to join Prof. Chen on stage, I'd like to welcome our guest of honor. Can I please have Dr. Kaur on stage once again? Thank you for the applause. Give us a few moments for this photo, and then we have one more to go. Once again, we're so appreciative of Professor Chen for sharing his knowledge with us. Please stay. We have one more photo. I'd like to welcome back Engineer Lee to come back on stage for the group photo as well. Can we have a round of applause for Engineer Lee? Thank you. I particularly love what Professor Chen has said about in every crisis comes opportunities, and I do hope that inspired you to, of course, look for solutions despite the many problems that we face. And hopefully the keynote presentation has changed the way that you think about finding solution. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is such a joy to have you physically with us, face to face, and being here to celebrate the event and the awards. Could you please give our VIPs on stage a big round of applause? With that, I'd like to, of course, ask our VIPs to proceed downstage. Ladies and gentlemen, please send off Engineer Lee, Professor Chen, and Dr. Amy Kaur, our guest of honor, with a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, very polite gentlemen. At this moment in time, please remain seated because our guest of honor will be taking her leave. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Amy Kaur for being our guest of honor today, and of course to you as well for celebrating the award recipients. And as we send off our Dr. Amy Kaur, later on we have more speeches coming your way. So please do me a favor, don't go anywhere. Remain seated where you are. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is such a joy to have you here for the Food Resource Valorisation Awards 2021. Please stand by for more announcements, and if you may, do remain seated where you are once again. Thank you. Crossbeer, remember to send our guest of honor her beer, okay? Thank you. With that, our guest of honor will be taking her leave. If you may, please send her off with a round of applause. Thank you very much. Do stay healthy and safe till we meet face to face again. Thank you to our VIPs for gracing today's event as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated where you are. Give me a few more minutes because after this, we are going to get you to go for a short break. So the time right now on my watch is about 2 minutes before 10. We're going to have a short little break, turn the room around, and welcome you back for more exciting speeches on stage. You don't want to miss that. To my online friends as well, please come and join us back at 10:15 a.m. Once again, we'll be back on stage at 10:15. Please enjoy your short little break and see you in about 15 minutes time. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you're enjoying your break. I want to remind my award recipients to come and take your trophy box at the side table if you haven't done so just yet. Once again, to my award recipients, if you're in the ballroom, kindly proceed to the side stage area, the right-hand side, for you to pick up the box for your trophy before you head home today. Once again, we're trying to reduce contact for us to stay as safe as possible. So see you here at the side stage for you to collect your box for your trophy. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get you to head on back to your table and return to your seat in about 4 minutes time. We will be starting with the next session real soon, and towards the end of today's event we do have a plenary session, a very exciting one, getting all your questions answered. And if you'd like to use the Q&A online platform, it is called Slido. Once again, please do me a favor and check that your mobile phones are switched to the silent mode. Please keep 1 meter apart and keep your mask on at all times. I'm going to get you to head back to your seat and to your table in 2 minutes time, and we'll be starting with the program on stage shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I want to let you know that we're starting in about a minute's time. So if you're in a ballroom, I know we're having a lively conversation. Thank you so much for your kind understanding on the matter. For you to please take to your seats at this moment in time. Thank you very much. And to my online audience as well, we have not forgotten you. Keep, of course, our live feed going on. We'll be back live in just about 38 seconds or so. Once again, if you're outside the ballroom, I'd like to invite you back into the ballroom to be seated down at the same table that you were, because we're going to start with the next segment of speeches on stage. I promise you it's going to be very exciting indeed. Once again, please be seated. We'll be starting with the program as long as all of us are seated in the hall in about 30 seconds. Thank you. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a nice short break and already energized for the rest of the day ahead. Allow me to introduce what's going to happen live on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be inviting some of our award winners to be on stage to share with us their food resource valorization journey. And if you do have any burning questions for them, all you need to do is to post your questions using our Q&A online platform called Slido. That's Slido. In case you're wondering how do you get on Slido, two ways you can do so. You can scan the QR code or you can log on to the website and enter the event code hashtag FVA2021. That's for you online at home watching us right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do our very best to answer as many questions from you during the plenary session towards the end of the session here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get you to prepare yourself for our very first speaker, none other than Miss Patricia Lee, Corporate Affairs Director of Asia Pacific Breweries. Now, Ms. Lee has worked across multiple industries covering public affairs, sustainability, and also public relations. What she's going to do on stage very soon is share about Asia Pacific Breweries' aim to brew a better world through reduced carbon emissions, waste reduction, and water conservation, among many other good goals. Now, since 2008, the company has diverted approximately 20,000 tons of byproduct from landfills through food waste valorization. To hear more from her, ladies and gentlemen, if you may, please put your hands together to welcome on stage Miss Patricia Lee. There she is. Thank you so much, Miss Lee. Over to you.
Thank you for the introduction. Feels strange to be putting on lipstick this morning. All right. Good morning, Engineer Lee, Professor William Chen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all of you here as well as online. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here to share with you Asia Pacific Breweries' story on how we turn waste to value and our ambition to brew a better world. It's a simple story, really, probably not as exciting or as intriguing as the stories that my fellow presenters will be telling you later. You know what they say, right? They always save the best for last. But nonetheless, it's a story that is also filled with passion, the same passion and determination to accelerate sustainable solutions to address our most pressing environmental needs. Now, like any good story, let's start at the beginning to give you a flavor of what we are doing and how we get to this particular chapter here. So we first started out as Malayan breweries in 1931. This came about apparently over a late night conversation over drinks between executives of Heineken Company as well as Singapore Fraser and Neave, FNN, as we all probably more familiar. So they were having drinks over a bar, talking about, maybe we should start looking into brewing, the world's first tropical lager in Singapore. And so in 1932, Tiger Beer was born. The company changed its name to Asia Pacific Breweries, or APB in short, in 1990. And in 2012, when Heineken bought over the shares from FNN, we started a new chapter as an operating company of Heineken. Aside from being the home of Tiger Beer, over the years, of course, we have also expanded our portfolio of premium brands and cider brands to include Heineken, Guinness, ABC, Anchor, all those brands that you see here, with the latest being Edelweiss, premium wheat beer. And we also own and operate Archipelago Brewery, which produces a wide range of craft beers. Now, as Singapore's largest brewery and a member of the most international brewer with operations around the world, we have a responsibility and ambition to brew a better world, a more sustainable world from Bali to bar. We believe in working in partnerships to achieve shared goals, scale our positive contribution, and limit our negative impacts on the environment and society. So Brew a Better World is our sustainability strategy that is deeply embedded in the way that we do business. So how do we brew a better world, you may ask, and what do we mean by better? So hopefully this video will be able to shed some light on the response.
What is better? Better isn't just about better taste, better smell, or better branding. Better is better when it's better for everyone. For our employees, for their loved ones, for all living things. For saving water, for cleaner air, for less waste, for the community, for you. At Asia Pacific Brewery Singapore, we're better for the earth. We're better for the environment. We're better for the future. We're better than better.
So it's an ambitious statement, right? When we say we want to be better than better. And why not? After all, United Nations has deemed this the decade of action when it comes to driving our sustainable development goals. So in June this year, we decided to raise the bar on our Brew a Better World ambitions. Our aim was to develop a strategy that is so simple that it fits on the back of a coaster. So that's what you see here. As you can see, there are three main pillars. We have an environmental pillar that defines our path to zero impact. We also have a social pillar, which is our path to an inclusive, fair, and equitable company and world. And the third pillar, we have a responsible pillar, which forms the path to moderation and to advocating no harmful use of alcohol. Each pillar has three ambitions with three other ambition areas. So for the purpose of this presentation today, I will only highlight on our environmental ambitions. So let's take a closer look at the environmental pillar. With healthy watersheds, our aim is to support the health of watersheds that sustain our operations in parts of the world that are water stressed. Now we do this through water stewardship, water circularity, and water efficiency. At APB Singapore, we focus on the last two areas, and that's why recently we are one of the first few manufacturers in Singapore to install a water reuse treatment plant on site at our brewery in Tuas to treat all our wastewater. Next, we have an ambition area, bold ambitions, in the area of carbon neutrality, aiming for net zero emissions in production by 2030. We do this by further increasing our energy efficiency and accelerating the transition towards renewable energy. And Heineken, I'm proud to say, is the first global brewer to commit to carbon neutrality for the entire chain by 2040. Now, what are we doing at APBS? Well, we have installed over 8,000 solar panels on the roof of our brewery. This reduces our carbon footprint by 20%, making every pint of Tiger beer consumed in Singapore brewed by the sun. And we come to the last ambition, which is about circularity. We aim to maximize circularity of our products and to give a second life to our input and output materials. As you may have heard Dr. Amy Cole mention earlier, we want to go from take, make, and waste or dispose to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now this year, Heineken will develop a dedicated strategy and related targets on how to further reduce or further close our material loops and turn waste into value for different stages in our value chain. One commitment that was launched was to become zero waste to landfill in all our production facilities by 2025. At APBS, I'm proud to say that we are very close to achieving our circularity ambition. As you saw in the video earlier, we have adopted a circularity approach by implementing many initiatives to reduce, reuse, and recycle our materials. In fact, we already do consider ourselves a zero-waste brewery as we send less than 1% of waste to the landfill annually. One of our initiatives brought us here today, and it's got to do with the spent barley grains that you see in this photo after sugar and carbohydrates has been extracted in the brewing process. Now, obviously, barley grains is one of the main ingredients in the recipe for beer, and as a brewer, spent barley grains constitute the bulk of our food byproducts. On average, we regenerate approximately 20,000 tons of spent grains annually. Now, all of our spent grains are sold to a company that processes the spent grains as animal feed. As everyone knows here, I'm sure, they are high in protein and fiber, so they are excellent, for this purpose. Because of the sheer volume, the vendor that we are working with needs to send in 8 to 9 trucks on a daily basis to pick up the spent grains from our brewery. Because on average, we have about 54 tons of spent grains on a daily basis. So the grains that you see in the previous slide, you can see they are stored in this cylinder, vertical cylinder here, and then there's a chute that that fills the base of the truck, that fills the whole truck when it comes into our brewery. And through this process, we are also very happy to say that we're able to divert waste to landfill. We are also able to create an additional income stream and reduce our waste management costs. Now, I'm sure some of you have asked, or some of you have also approached me, have we ever considered other ways to look at upcycling our spent grains? So the answer is yes. Did you know that we have a concept store called Tiger Street Lab at the Jewel Changi Airport? Now, there's a picture that you see in the background here. On the bar counter, there's this design where you have as if there's a tiger's stripes at the bar counter that's backlit by the neon sign. Now, that panel here is actually made of material made from spent grains. And this same material is also used to design or produce promotional materials. For example, very nice, premium-looking covers of notebooks. We also use it to produce coasters, ice buckets, and even furniture, such as bar stools and tables. Very, very innovative and creative indeed. And the other project that we also worked on was a pilot one where we worked together with research institutes such as NTU, right, and with Professor Chen's team, and also with, at that point in time, was called AVA, to produce tiger crisps or chips. And these chips are also high in protein, and it pairs well with our tiger beer. And the public had a taste of this unique product at our Sustainable Pop-Up Bar event back in 2019. So at APBS, next slide. So on that crisp note, I've come to the end of my sharing today. It is by no means the end of our sustainable story. In fact, we look forward to writing the next chapter of our food valorization journey together with you. Right, so we are definitely open and keen to explore other alternative proposals and ways in which we can upcycle our spent grains. So feel free to contact us through our website. Okay, you see here, contact details are there. Thank you very much.
Cheers, superficially. Thank you so much for the better presentation that we hear today. I absolutely love your tagline, better than better. And of course, I see what you've done there when you say you've raised the bar by going more eco and more green. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have more exciting speeches coming your way. And up next, again, I want to remind you that if you have any questions along the way, just send them through using Slido, and we'll do our very best to, of course, get them answered during the plenary session. Later on, you'll see Patricia on stage as well. Next, allow me to introduce our second speaker, co-founder and chief marketing officer of Insecta. We have Ms. Chua Kai Ning. Now, Ms. Chua is a very passionate entrepreneur who believes that the smallest of creatures can make the biggest of impacts. So today, she'll be sharing with us how at Insecta, they're marrying the amazing food waste valorization abilities of the black soldier fly. And you're going to learn more about their breakthrough innovations, how you can reimagine food waste as a source of biomaterials for our pharmaceutical, bioelectronics, and personal well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage right now, Ms. Chua Kai Ning. Welcome. Thanks for your time today. Just yesterday, I was pronouncing it as Chitosan. Today, I know it's Kaitosan. You'll find out more from Ms. Chua as well. Thank you so much for joining us here today. If you may.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited to be here because I see a lot of familiar faces that I've only seen on Zoom for the past 1.5 years. So it's good to see you in real life. So imagine a future where insects can cure and diagnose cancer. Or imagine a scenario where they play an active role in the fight against COVID-19. Here at Insecta, that's exactly what we are doing. By using technology to tap onto two of our most underrated resources, insects and food waste. To understand how this is possible, first let me introduce to you the black soldier fly. These guys are the latest buzzwords in the insect farming industry, and this amazing little insect is nature's solution to the food waste crisis. They have a remarkable ability to consume up to 4 times their body weight in food waste a day, transforming it into their body mass. They grow, they reproduce fast, they're not a pest and not invasive, essentially translating to a low impact and high yield livestock that's part of the growing insect farming industry, projected to be worth $3.4 billion by 2030. Now, around the world and in Singapore as well, many companies are using the black soldier fly's ability to valorize food waste into integral products for the agriculture industry, such as insect oil, insect meal, and their frass, used as a fertilizer. Now, at Insecta, however, we recognize that these insects can be worth so much more. Within each black soldier fly lies high-value biomaterials that expand their potential to industries such as bioelectronics, pharmaceuticals, and even our personal wellness. We are marrying deep tech innovations together with nature's processes to develop technology that helps us extract these precious biomaterials from our black soldier flies, such as melanin as well as chitosan, which are both utilized in high-value industries, increasing the value of this insect by hundreds of times. They are truly the circular and sustainable materials of the future. Take, for instance, chitosan. It's a natural material that makes up the structures of fungi, bacteria, and as we learned today, crustaceans. But they can also be found in the black soldier fly, and it's widely known for its antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant properties. Not also to mention, it is moisturizing, which is perfect for us ladies out here. You can find it widely used in industries ranging from pharmaceuticals all the way to 3D printed biocomposites. What Insecta's chitosan brings to the table is a truly sustainable chitosan derived from not only a circular source, but we create our chitosan with a much greener process. Its high quality lends it to being used in the pharmaceutical and cosmetics industries, replacing traditional chitosan, which can be pollutive as well as unsustainable. And the market is responding favorably. We've seen demand in the space for our sustainable chitosan products that are playing an active role in the fight against COVID-19, such as antimicrobial coatings for food and surfaces, similar to the ones you see applied to elevators or escalators. Cosmetic companies are also mindful of the green consumer, which is widely growing, and are ramping up demand for sustainably sourced raw materials such as chitosan for its moisturizing properties as well. All these possibilities bring us to our next biomaterial, melanin. It is a dark pigment that's found in our hair, your skin, and you guessed it, insects as well. But melanin is no ordinary pigment. It conducts electricity. This, as well as its other traits, has spotlighted melanin in the treatment for certain cancers, healing agents, as well as bioelectronics. Which is why at Insecta, we're working with researchers around the world to ensure Insecta's melanin is suitable for their research in cancer therapies, bioscaffolds for bone healing, and even creating flexible, wearable electronics that could one day monitor our health. Melanin is the material of the future, held back only by its scarcity as well as its price point. Our technology now allows us to tap onto a potentially unlimited source of melanin, food waste, all done with the help of the black soldier fly, and with the help of our strategic academic partners, we get one step closer every day to technologies such as the one pictured here. This is a flexible, biodegradable supercapacitor printed with Insecta's black soldier fly melanin, the first of its kind in the world. With this insight into the potential of black soldier flies and the biomaterials, let me show you a quick short video by Channel News Asia that sums it up all very nicely.
In agriculture, chitosan is used to promote seed growth and to help plants fight fungal infections. In medicine, it's used in bandages to reduce bleeding, and its antibacterial qualities make it useful for preventing infections in wounds. Because it's biocompatible, meaning it's completely safe in our bodies, it's also being researched as an efficient way to deliver drugs to specific locations. Chitosan is typically refined from chitin, which comes from the shells of crustaceans.
But the important thing to understand is that it comes from a not so sustainable source. People can say that it comes from waste because shrimp shells and crab shells are waste. But it is still a consumption of marine resources, and we know that when people make chitosan, they can actually harvest marine resources specifically for this purpose.
Junwei is working on a patented process that uses black soldier flies, a much more sustainable source. The other star product that could be extracted from the fly is melanin.
In the biomaterial industry, melanin has been given the nickname black gold. And that doesn't only refer to its value, like it's worth a few $100s a gram at the moment, but also its potential uses. Because melanin is biocompatible, it can one day be used in electronics meant to be inserted into the human body without the fear of heavy metals leaching out. Another use for melanin, which is very, very promising, is where it can help with CT scans as well as MRI scans. And one more huge use of melanin is its ability to diagnose and treat certain cancers.
So with that video, I hope that sums up how deep tech allows us to reimagine food waste, long considered a drain on our economy, as a high-value resource. And as I move towards the end of my presentation, I'd just like to highlight how black soldier fly biotech companies like Insecta play an instrumental role in the food waste valorization and insect farming industries. We complement, not compete, with insect farms, taking byproducts, helping the insect farming industry to grow, thereby increasing the amount of food waste valorized. We work closely with strategic tech and academic partners from around the world and Singapore to spearhead the black soldier fly derived biomaterials industry. Last but not least, at our core ethos, we are here to use our tech for good because we hate the idea of waste. And we're using technology to enable the truly sustainable shift towards sustainable biomaterials, empowering the insect farming industry by vastly increasing its economic value. In sum, our chitosan and melanin is here to change the way we view the insect industry, moving it beyond just agriculture. One day, insects will be just as instrumental as other livestock such as fish or cows in providing us the raw materials for biomedical treatments down to the consumer products we use on the daily, produced in a guaranteed circular process. We are always on the lookout for synergies with companies or organizations who are pursuing food waste valorization for high-value purposes. So if you'd like to contact us, here's all our contact information. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to the next presentation.
A round of applause to Ms. Chua Kai-ning from Insecta for the very insectful presentation, if I may say. Thank you so much for all your insights with us here today. We will see you later on stage for the plenary session. Thank you so much. I don't know about you, but I'm officially wowed by the black soldier fly. We need to enlist them to serve our nation, to conquer our challenges. We can put them to good use. All right, ladies and gentlemen, send your questions through about black soldier fly, about how we can, of course, enhance our capability in our day and age. We're going to move on to our last presentation before the plenary session, and allow me to introduce Ms. Florence Leong, co-founder and director of Cosmot Health Singapore. Now, Ms. Florence is an ex-pharma executive turned deep tech startup evangelist. Besides being an entrepreneur, Florence has also been contributing as a mentor, advisor, and instructor in entrepreneurship programs. Today, she's sharing with us about her startup, Cosmot's health journey of harnessing barley spent grains for human nutrition, and how Wow Noodles can meet the nutritional needs of the aging population while addressing concerns such as diabetes, metabolic, and gut health issues. So let us, of course, welcome her with a big round of applause. There she is, Miss Florence Leong. Thank you. We're excited to hear from you. Over to you.
Hi, good morning. You can see that I'm so excited to be here, right? I came up on stage even before the MC ended. It is really indeed very great to be here, to be able to present to real people and not to present to the monitor. And thank you so much for this opportunity to share Cosmos Health's journey of valorizing barley spent grains into Wow Noodles. But let me start by clarifying that even though we receive an award for the valorization of barley spent grains into Wow Noodles, Cosmos Health is not a noodle house. Neither are we a valorization company. We are a company that was incorporated with the mission to expand access to health from nature. And we do this by building on the triple technology platform that was built by my co-founder, Professor Huang Dejian, who is seated over there. And Professor Huang, by the way, is also the deputy head of National University of Singapore Food Science Technology Department. For today's purpose, I'm just going to touch on our first and our core technology, which is a better sustainable plant extraction technology. This is the technology that is a common link that enables Cosmos Health to resolve issues within the agri-food industry and the biomedical industry. So to start, to share about the journey, very often I've been asked these questions, okay, especially by reporters. They would say, what drives you to work on sustainability? The honest truth is, we weren't driven by sustainability. Sorry to say that. We were driven by survival. Our valorization journey is very typical of a startup journey, of a startup struggle, where we have go through the process of market discovery, of pivoting, of finding customers who not only need our product, but are willing to pay for it. So we started off with this dream of achieving our mission of expanding access to health from nature by being Asia's most trusted partner in the providence of extraction services, in the providence of quality and novel extracts. To our disappointment, commercial companies aren't interested in quality. Neither are they interested in working with novel extracts. We find that our customer base was so limited. It was just limited to researchers who wanted our quality materials because they need to do animal studies, so quality can't be compromised. But it's definitely too small a sector to sustain a business. Along the way, we received a lot of queries. Queries from agricultural companies, queries from food processing companies. Some come to us with general problem statements like, hey, we have loads of waste streams. What can we do about it? Some has more specific problem statements like, I'm interested in this particular bioactive. Can you extract it out for me? So it is all these queries that started us working on waste streams, thereby starting our valorization journey. We can apply our plant extraction technology in extraction of minute amount of polyphenols, flavonoids from fruits, from botanicals, etc. We can also apply our plant extraction technology in the valorization of different types of spent grains, but we chose to work on barley spent grains. Why? Because we have lots of it in Singapore. Beer and malt production in Singapore generates more than 75,000 tons of barley spent grains per year. What's more, these are all good stuff. They are nutrient-packed with protein and with fiber. Currently, most of them are being upcycled. They are upcycled into animal feed, into plant fertilizer. But if you consider the fact that the protein and the fiber content is as high as 30% and 70% respectively, should we go beyond upcycling? Should we consider upvaluing? That is, maximize the value of what we can get. These are 75,000 tons of power-packed, nutrient-packed, so-called waste streams in our backyard. What if we can, instead of feeding the animals and the plants and then indirectly benefiting humankind, what if we use it directly? Okay, we upvalue it into protein, fiber, powder for human nutrition. Wouldn't that be better? The issue of human nutrition is nothing new. There has been heightened concern over our ability to feed 9 billion by 2030. This concern has actually driven huge search for alternate proteins. And plant protein is the dominant source of alternate protein at this point. Unfortunately, they are still pricey, simply because they are extracted mainly from whole beans and whole grains. These are expensive source material. Not to mention that current extraction technology requires extensive use of energy and expensive solvents, thus compounding the issue. And the challenge in Asia is even greater. We are not only one of the fastest aging population, but more than 60% of diabetes resides in Asia. Yes, there is a huge multi-billion low glycemic index diabetic food out there. But most of these food are Western-centric. They are not tailored to the taste preference of Asians. At least they are not tailored to my preference. One of the biggest challenges we face in Asia is a high-starch staple diet of rice and noodle. It is one of the contributory factors to the diabetes epidemic. And this is one of the reasons why we chose to work on a starchless noodle. So can you imagine what can happen if we have a starchless noodle? It means that diabetic patients can now eat the starchless noodles with their indulgent sauces like maybe laksa and curry, or they can complete their meal with a piece of their favorite cake or indulgent dessert like chendol or bubur cha cha. These are simple pleasures that are eluding these people now. And this is the reason why we work on starchless noodle. But a no GI, no glycemic index starchless noodle is good, but it's not good enough. How about the nutritional needs of our aging population? Therefore, we set our bar higher. We say we want to formulate a starchless noodle that has no glycemic index, but yet is a good source of protein and fiber. We set the target sometime in 2019, but it was not until last year, I think Q3 of last year, that we managed to address and overcome the challenge of forming strands of noodles without starch, and yet have the bite and the texture of starch noodles. We brand it as Wow Noodles. It is Wow spelled with a 0, reflecting the fact that it is a zero starch, zero glycemic response, a zero waste product. After months of beta testing, we were able to finally launch the product in February this year. It is targeted and positioned mainly for consumers who need it, namely diabetes patients or individuals with concerns of blood sugar, with gut health, or even weight. To our delight, we found that there's a group of consumers who want it and who are willing to pay for it. And these are consumers who are on the keto diet and who are on the vegan diet. What you see here is some blood sugar charts contributed by our consumers. If you look carefully, it's a bit small, but you will note that the changes in the blood sugar level is averages about 0.5 millimole, not more than 1 millimole. And in the word of an endocrinologist, it is truly no GI. At the end of the day, no matter how nutritious a food is, taste is everything. So we are glad to have the endorsement of 2 Michelin star chef Emmanuel Strupan, who say that wow is not only healthy, but it's also delicious. This is also the feedback from our customers, one of whom is Miss Corinne Teo, who said that discovering wow is like a miracle. I think some of you who follow me on LinkedIn would remember that I said tears comes to my eyes when I receive this feedback, because it's the kind of impact which you want to make on a patient, on the consumer, and receiving such feedback is such an encouragement to us. I'm happy to say that this feedback is not an exception. It is the norm. All you have to do is go onto the WOW website and you will be able to read more and more of these testimonies. I'm going to end with this slide. WOW noodle is not only nutritious, not only able to restore the pleasure of eating, but it's extremely versatile. Okay, some people say that it is better than instant noodle, not because it's healthy, okay, but better than instant noodles because you don't even need to boil it. You can just take it out from the pack, rinse it, drain it, add some salad sauce, soba sauce, and you can eat it. You don't have to heat it up, okay. But you can also cook it in a variety of ways, just like any starch noodles. So with this, I hope that I managed to give you a glimpse of how Cosmo Health use our plant extraction technology and our functional food formulation expertise to up value. So I like to encourage everybody not to just consider upcycling, but up valuing, okay, maximizing the value of what we can from barley spent grains into food, into human nutrition. And I hope that I also managed to convince you that WOW Noodle is able to empower health and restore pleasure. To my fellow entrepreneurs who are out there, I hope that this little sharing will encourage you to press on, continue your market discovery, and know that pivoting is no shame. And to those of you who share our mission of expanding access to health from nature, and our belief that health and pleasure of eating should be the basic rights of all, regardless of health status. Please reach out to me. I would love to join hands with you to create a bigger market impact for our consumers out there. Thank you.
If you were wowed by her presentation, a round of applause for Florence, who will now join us for our plenary discussion. Of course, Florence will be joined by our speakers. We will have Professor William Chen, Ms. Patricia Lee, Ms. Chua Kai Ning to come and join us on stage for the panel discussion as well. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I need to start my 92-year-old grandma on the WOW noodles. How's that? I'll get in touch with you very shortly. And of course, to moderate the event, we have our Director of NEA's Sustainability Division, Mr. Christopher Tan, to moderate today's event. I'd like to welcome everybody with a round of applause. Welcome back. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a lively discussion right now. On stage, we're taking questions from the earlier presentation as part of the panel discussion. Once again, if you have any questions to pose, please find the Slido information available at the table in front of you. For those of you who has joined us via Zoom as well, we have not forgotten you. Please kindly scan the QR code that you see on screen right now, and you can also check out the link in your chat box to find out more on how you can participate in the Q&A. So start asking questions right now. Our moderator, Christopher Tan, is here, and he's all ready to start the session. You may remove your mask for the discussion as well. I wish you a lively session ahead. Over to you, Christopher. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Sue, and a very good morning to everybody. I'm sure that we all enjoyed the presentations and they were very interesting. We definitely learned a lot from Professor Chen's keynote presentation, as well as from Kai Ning, Florence, and Patricia's sharing on each of the companies. So, so in Singapore, I mean, food is something that is very dear to our hearts, and so all the more we really hate to waste food. And so today's presentations and today's awards are indeed a testament to our Singaporean spirit. Okay, so we are waiting for questions to come in on the Slido platform. So there are many, some of them are coming in fast and furious, but meanwhile, perhaps I could start off by inviting Professor Chen to share a bit more about your reflections on the presentations and how the food waste valorization has grown over the years.
Thanks, Chris, for this very interesting question. I think over the years we have seen a shift from the sort of people's and government's effort in reducing food waste. And as we can see from this morning's award winners presentation, food waste reduction and valorization is not a zero-sum game. That means it's not just for the sake of reducing food waste we do something, but a wider application is actually to spill over this nutrient recovery from food waste into our food value chain. By doing so, actually we incorporate all the effort into the enhancing the food system, and it's very encouraging to see that we are actually moving from the food waste recycling towards food waste valorization. In other words, upcycling. So I can see from the presentation from Cosmo Health that it can be developed into novel food, food product for the benefit of consumer health. And also from the Insectas presentation, we can see that application of this food waste upcycling can go beyond food space in the other applications. So I think regional countries actually always see Singapore as a technology leading player. So it is hoped that our technology can also be propagated in the region. So collectively we can enhance at least a regional food security.
Thanks very much, Prof. Chen, and that reminded me also of what you talked about in the earlier presentation about how two very valuable streams would be nutrient recovery as well as biomaterials, which we can extract from food waste. Yep. And indeed, we should see them as food resources, not just as food waste itself. Okay, so with that, I see there's some more questions coming in. Perhaps we can then turn to the Slido platform. I would encourage more to come in with their questions as well as to vote on the current questions for them to be answered by the speakers here. Okay, there are a few questions about the black soldier fly technology. In particular, there's one about black soldier flies consuming all kinds of food waste. So the question is, given that black soldier flies consume all kinds of food waste, how do we make sure that they are safe for humans? So I'm sure that many in the audience are thinking about the slide which Kai Ning had shared about the process and about how the larvae could then be used for melanin, chitosan, and also all sorts of different sorts of feed for animals. Perhaps, Kai-Ning, I could invite you to respond to this question.
So thanks for the question. It's actually a very excellent question. When I saw it pop up, I was like, people are really thinking critically now. So to be specific, the question is, how can we ensure that the melanin and chitosan is safe for humans if black soldier flies consume all kinds of food waste? And this is where we have to make the distinction between the different kinds of food waste that we have, such as heterogeneous as well as homogeneous food waste. Now, when we think about what kind of food waste we feed our black soldier flies, and black soldier flies indeed can eat all kinds of food waste, we also have to bear in mind where these black soldier flies are going to end up. Obviously, if they're going to end up as for human consumption or human use, such as in Insecta's case, we have to take into consideration food safety, contamination, heavy metal accumulation, and all these things are incredibly important to us. This is where we tap onto homogeneous sources of food waste, such as the okara and spent grains, right? Which are a lot more traceable than, say, heterogeneous food waste where we don't know where it comes from. So by controlling not only our processes, but the kind of food waste we feed our black soldier fly, we kill many birds in one stone. Valorizing a legit food waste that would otherwise end up in the incinerator, as well as creating products for the pharmaceutical and cosmetics industries as well.
Thanks very much, Kai-Ning. So my main takeaway is that yes, black soldier flies can consume all kinds of food waste, but we are generally quite selective for the start as to what kind of food waste they consume, so as to make sure that the product is safe. There are a few other questions about black soldier flies and a lot of interest in this topic, as we can see. Not all of them are on the screen up there right now, but there are a few about how the black soldier fly process works. For instance, why black soldier flies are chosen over other insects. Also, how the chitosan or melanin is extracted from the black soldier flies. I'm wondering if you could help to share a bit more on those topics, yeah, on basically to explain the process of how you use black soldier flies and how you extract chitosan and melanin from them.
Okay, so I think a lot of people in the audience will be able to answer this question as to why we choose black soldier flies over more conventionally farmed insects like crickets and mealworms. Now, humans have been farming insects on and off for thousands of years. This is the first time we are really industrializing it using technology. And the reason why the black soldier fly shines above crickets and mealworms is because their ability to valorize waste is just above par among all of them. They are also not a pest, which is very, very important. They're also endemic to most parts of the world, so they're not invasive. There's no chance of it being released and becoming like a pest or invasive species. So this is why many urban areas are starting to farm black soldier flies, and I think Insecta is testament to it. Our black soldier fly facility is in the heart of Queenstown. It's next to Queenstown Public Library. We're next to primary schools, secondary schools. And if black soldier flies were not made to be farmed in scale in an urban area, we wouldn't be able to thrive in Queenstown. So I hope that answers the question of why we chose black soldier fly over other insects. I believe the second question regards our extraction process. Now, I can't tell you everything, right? So we'll be giving away Insecta's kind of like company secret. But what differentiates us, chitosan and melanin, not only obviously is the source, which is black soldier flies, which is indirectly food waste, it's also our extraction process. Now, extracting chitosan from crustaceans traditionally is a very pollutive process. It uses a lot of chemicals, for example, sodium hydroxide, to be able to extract that. Other kind of chemicals such as hydrochloric acid as well. And the Insecta process of extracting chitosan uses a lot less of these chemicals for a much greener process. Essentially, what we're trying to do is recapture the max value. Not to mention, as well, from our process, we also get melanin. So just to be clear, we put our raw materials through a single process, and capture multiple products out of it. So this is really what differentiates us from traditionally produced chitosan and melanin.
Okay, thanks very much, Kai Ning, for that sharing on the technology of black soldier flies. I think there is a lot of interest about that. There are more questions coming in. I do want to just highlight some of one of them, which I think encompasses quite a few of the other questions as well. I mean, there are some questions about the cost and barriers for companies to adopt food valorization solutions. And I think cost in particular is a topic that has come up in several of the questions. Right? So there's a question about how, given that products are derived from sustainable technologies, are usually more expensive than other materials or products, how can we encourage consumers to buy these products? How could companies overcome this barrier? Maybe for this, I could invite maybe both Florence as well as Professor Chen to talk about this. Florence has a perspective from Cosmody Health. Professor Chen, there are many companies which have worked with NTU to commercialize the technology. So over to Florence, please. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll take this question first. I think it's a misconception that products from technology are more expensive. Okay, if anything, if you look at our technology, our extraction technology is more efficient, is better, it's more sustainable, it's also halal certifiable. The issue of cost very often comes in only because there's a lack of scale. And this is a necessary journey which every company has to go through. We start off with very limited scale, and then we need to scale up quickly. And this is how we can then overcome the cost. But I would also like to direct the attention of all consumers, not to just cost, but to value. Are we eating the food just to be full? Or are we treating food as medicine? So in the case of Wow Noodle, it is not meant to be just food to be full. It is actually positioned more as food as a medicine. So I've been talking a lot about diabetes. But how about those who are pre-diabetic? For those who are pre-diabetic, if they can watch what they are eating, then in future they can save a lot more costs on having to pay for their medicines or for the procedures.
Thanks very much, Florence. Yeah, over to Professor Chen.
This is a very important question. So in our case, is about bringing the innovation from university to society, to consumers. So the way, based on our experience partnering with food industry, we see actually two ways to actually facilitate this process. First one is actually develop innovations on a very simple basis and cost-effective basis. In doing so, when industry come to talk to us, they will see that it will not cost them a leg or arm just to take up the innovation and scale it up. The second thing is that actually we have talked about this through this public-private partnership. So, for example, we are going to launch at NTU a new platform, national platform, to facilitate the connection between the innovators, solution providers, and the big industries. So, often the time, through our collaboration with local SMEs or startups, we see that the one missing link is actually they do not have a scale up production capacity. So one way we can facilitate the innovation take-up is actually to link them up with a big company. So some of the big companies, they may not want to adopt this simple innovation because it's not part of the core business. So by having a small startup or SMEs to help this produce this innovation at the scale, actually we are helping three parties. First, university innovations will have the relevance to industry. Second, small startups or SMEs, they will have innovations which are needed by the big players. So their business will be most likely to be successful. Third, the big company, they will have another solution provider to sort of change the practice without investing too much in the process. So that's how we see it. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Professor Chen. Yeah, so I think very interesting responses. From Florence, we learned that yes, we must think not just about the actual cost of the product, but more value which goes beyond the actual consumption of the product to the benefits of the product for our health. And I mean, Professor Chen also talked a lot about the possible platforms that we can use to try to commercialize the product and try to link small companies up with big companies. Maybe with that, I could also invite Patricia to share the perspective of Asia Pacific Breweries, which is a big company, which also has a lot of barley waste, barley spent grains waste. I mean, given that, you know, the waste is often seen as a cost center, I mean, what motivated Asia Pacific Breweries to sort of go on this journey and to start valorizing the waste? And hopefully in the future, perhaps we can also consider working with small companies as well to think of new ways to do things.
So first of all, as you can see from my presentation, sustainability and responsibility are themes that are really embedded in our values and the purpose of the company. All right. So right from the very beginning, we have always been looking into ways that we can contribute positively back to the environment as well as to society. So food valorization in terms of selling our products or upcycling our products, it's like I said, it's nothing new. It's not a new concept to us. I think initially when we started on this journey, there was a bit of a challenge simply because I think of the way that it was categorized. You know, it's not food waste, but it's a homogeneous byproduct. All right, and with that, we were able to actually sell our products to this vendor instead of, you know, having to pay for people to come in to dispose, not dispose, but, you know, to take away the spent grains. So it definitely makes a lot of business sense for us. And we are totally supportive. So even to the question of, you know, it's not so much about finding ways to sell the products to consumers, but I think it goes beyond that. We need to actually educate the public, educate not only consumers, but also businesses to support all these SMEs that are starting out in this area. So for us, in the current vendor that we're looking at, actually for the first 2 years, we gave them the spent grains for free, right? Because we knew they were a startup, they needed time to scale up their operations. So we said, okay, after 2 years, then we talk about business, we talk about, you know, it becomes more transactional in that sense, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. I think it's very great to hear that APB is, in a way, you know, by giving the spent barley grains for free, it's sort of helping to offset the cost of the off-taker for the first few years, and in a way, it's giving them a leg up and helping this food valorization journey over time. Okay, so thanks, Patricia, for that response. That's very useful to give the perspective of a big company, and I think that over here from the panel, we are gradually seeing how the whole ecosystem can come together. I mean, both companies which generate the waste, as well as researchers, as well as companies and startups which are helping us to valorize food waste in a circular economy. You know, there are a couple of questions although they're not on the screen, about APB's products which are made from spent barley grains. I think there is some interest to buy the products. You know, like there was a question about how whether some of the products could be put up for sale by consumers. Is that possible right now?
I'm very happy to hear that, you know. But unfortunately, the products are not available in Singapore just yet. They are actually available in some of our other operating opcos. For example, in Amsterdam, people can actually buy it after they go for the brewery tour. Right? But of course, we are also looking at producing them locally. In fact, the company that does this is actually looking or was looking into setting up operations in Singapore. Yeah, I'm not sure whether, you know, because of COVID, you know, it affected the process and, you know, and their plans. But we certainly hope to be able to work with them, yeah, to produce all these products in Singapore.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much, Patricia. I think I look forward to the day when that will be possible, and all the more a reason for people to visit APB for a brewery tour.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think there have been quite a few questions coming in. I think in general, there's a general topic that I can see in this amongst the questions is that of what kinds of food waste could be applied, could food waste valorization be applied to? And there is a question here about whether Cosmo Health is innovating in other types of food waste. I wanted to maybe invite Florence to respond about how the technology could be used.
So, like I mentioned earlier, our technology can be used in the valorization of a wide range of food waste. In fact, we have worked on distilled dried grains after ethanol extraction. That was for a US-based company. We have worked on spent coffee. Currently, we are also doing some work on spent sugarcane waste and spent coconut waste. So if you have waste streams which you'd like us to look at, we'll be happy to talk to you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Florence. Perhaps I can also invite Kai Ning to maybe share more about what kinds of food waste you think that the black soldier fly technology could be applied to. I mean, we note the challenges which you've talked about just now, but I mean, looking forward to the future, what is your view?
So moving forward, I mean, obviously we already established that the kind of waste that's suitable for insecticide lies more on the homogeneous range. So if there are any other companies out there who are large-scale producers or even medium-scale producers that have a homogeneous food waste that they are looking to try and up value, obviously Insecta will be interested in exploring that. But obviously that also comes with a lot of R&D, as with all the companies here as well, whether the feed is suitable for the insects, whether the final product that comes out of the insects is suitable for our use. So yeah, the sky's the limit, and there's so many different kinds of homogeneous food waste out there, as previously mentioned, even coconut waste, sugarcane waste. We haven't explored that yet, simply because we've been much more focused on our extraction technology at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kai. Yeah, I do hope that in the future we can see more and more of different types of food waste streams being valorized. I mean, there are many different technologies as we've seen, and I think there will be many other ways that we can try to work on. I mean, other than the panelists here today, I mean, we have also seen the work of some other companies such as Crust Brewing. I think this was mentioned by Sue earlier that, I mean, Crust started out with beer, but at the same time, they're also working on valorizing fruit waste to come up with soda beverages. Okay, I think there is a question about general business strategies. How will valorization in the circular economy influence the economic value of food side streams? And how will this affect valorization business strategies in the future? You know, there was Patricia talking about how at the start you sort of gave the waste to the company, to the off-taker for free, but then after that, then a new business model started emerging. I can imagine that, you know, over time, there might also be, there will have to be negotiation taking place on the commercial model for off-taking food side streams. Maybe perhaps I can seek the views of perhaps Florence, if you can share some of your views on this, given your extensive experience in the pharma industry, the venture capital industry.
Wow, this is challenging. Okay. I think that at the end of the day, okay, even if companies like APB charge for their participant grains, these are still side streams from them. The cost would definitely still be much lower than if I have to extract the protein and the fiber from the whole grains and whole beans by itself. So it definitely would still make economic sense. And the end of, and the other factor to take into consideration also is what does a consumer feel? Okay, and if there is this huge drive towards circularity, and if consumers talk with their pockets, okay, when they say that they want a sustainability, then they, even if the price point is the same, okay, I think they should also use that to influence their purchasing decision.
Thanks very much, Florence. Maybe Professor Chen, I mean, you've had the experience of working with several different startups at NTU. I'm wondering if you could share some of your views on this, from these experiences.
This is a very important question. I think before we talk about all this food waste valorization, we ought to see that it's even more important to reduce food waste at the source. So that involves a lot of education, raising awareness, not just from consumer, but for younger generation. So for this, actually, we partner a lot of pre-university institutions to sort of let them get the student involved in the food research project, so that the awareness is we can raise awareness from a young age, and so at the consumer level, I think Singapore is doing a very good job. Now, increasingly, people are aware of this problem of food waste generation. So actually, I think the two aspects of food waste reduction have to be coupled. One is to reduce or even remove food waste at the source. Second one is actually how we valorize. And when we combine these two, I think we can achieve a meaningful outcome. Yeah.
Maybe I would like to echo what Prof. William Chang said. I think at the end of the day, okay, there are certain ways which cannot be reduced, cannot be minimized. Okay, barley spent grains, for example, it cannot be minimized unless you all stop drinking your beer. Would you like that? No. So for such spent grains, then there's the issue of upvaluing. And that's why I mentioned that yes, currently it's being used as animal feed, it's being used as fertilizers. I love animals, I love plants, I don't want to deprive them, okay, of their feed. But there are a lot of other materials, even heterogeneous waste, which can be used as animal feed. So if that is the case, then what is the highest value product which we can develop? So there are also companies who use dried barley spent grains and formulate it into, for example, snack bars, low GI cookies. Yes, those are also for food. Okay, but the competition is also very keen because there are also many low GI snack bars and low GI cookies out there. And that's the reason why even as a company, if you want to up value, we have to look at something that is different. So Cosmo's Health business model started off as a business enabler. So when we extract the protein fiber powder, we formulated a range of other functional food like Asian flavored protein, beta-glucan drinks, etc. And our objective is to actually sell the premix to companies to bring it out to the market so that we don't have to embark on the marketing activities. But with Wow Noodles, we realized that noodle houses in Singapore and probably in Asia, they are very traditional. They only see it as food for the stomach and they don't understand the concept of functional food. And in a way, we are forced, to demonstrate that there's a demand, for food as medicine. And because there's nothing like this, nothing like Wow Noodle in the whole world, there isn't any product out there that has no GI, and yet has protein and fiber. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is that we have to strive harder. We have to strive harder to create unique products. And then that is where we get the maximum value out of it, both from the company point of view and also from the consumer point of view.
Okay, thanks very much, Florence. I think with that, I will have to round up this session because we are running out of time. There were very interesting presentations earlier. We definitely learned a lot about different sorts of technologies being used. I mean, Professor Chen talked about various technologies which are being innovated by NTU and being applied to companies. I mean, Kai Ning talked about the black soldier fly and how we are trying to create more value from the side streams of the black soldier fly. Florence also talked about creating value from side streams of barley spent grains, and Patricia shared about APB's journey and how APB has over time started valorizing its food byproducts. And I think from the panel discussion, we've also seen a lot of points made, very interesting points made about how we must think not just about costs, but also about value to consumers, and about how at the end of the day this is about food valorization. We are trying to create. It's really not a matter of recycling the food, but really one of trying to extract the maximum value that we can from the food, be it as biomaterials or as nutrient, to recycle back into the food chain or for products in a growing economy. I think I must say, I speak on behalf of the audience, that we've definitely learned a lot from the sharings of the speakers and the panel discussion, and I must thank all the speakers for their very candid sharing and for their perspectives on food waste valorization in Singapore, food resource valorization in Singapore. So with that, I think I will have to bring this panel to an end, and thank you very much to all our distinguished panelists for being here today.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause, please? With that, a big thanks to our moderator, Christopher Tan, and also Prof. Chen, Ms. Patricia Lee, Ms. Chua Kai-ning, and Ms. Florence Leong. Thank you so much for joining us here today on stage. I'd like to, of course, ask you to proceed downstage as we wrap up the event. And as you're making your way down, what a great day it has been learning about new information and getting new perspective. Could you please send that off with a round of applause, please? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with me for just a few short moments, and I'm going to give you a quick debrief before, of course, we get you to enjoy your lunch. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today I hope we wasted no time in getting you all, of course, inspired with information you need to, of course, embark on your next step in your journey. Now, to my friends watching online, thank you for being here, and to my physical audience, there's nothing quite like being in each other's presence. So thank you for spending time with us here today. Now, before we go, I want to say a very big thank you to, of course, our moderator, our speakers, and also congratulations once again to all our award recipients. Now, before we go, we need your time to let us know how we can do better. So please do me a favor, whether you're online or with us physically, before you go, scan the QR code once again that you see right in front of you. Whether you're online, on screen, or in person right here, do me a favor, could you give me just 2 more minutes of your time to help us fill up the feedback form. Let us know in what ways we can be greener, better for you for the next one. And of course, after you're done with the feedback form, we're going to ask you to leave the ballroom and also this level so that we can sanitize this whole area. Once again, on behalf of NEA as well, I want to say thank you so much for being here. To you online, thank you for watching. My name is Sue. Till we see each other again, please stay safe and stay green. See you again soon. Thank you.